This is my Voyager 36. I use this on every job I can because it makes my life so much easier. I've been trying to figure out how to get the perfect power solution added to my Voyager 36. I use this as my main camera card on every production that I go to. I mainly load it up with what I need, and sometimes obviously I have to make more than one run if I load it up with lights, but this is mainly my camera card on set. So I usually have cameras, gimbals and stuff on the top. I usually have my laptop on the digi plate, and I have all kinds of accessories, shot bags, stands, lights, and whatever I need on the bottom. But I never really figured out how to get power to this where I can plug stuff quickly in. It's mobile, so I don't need to run many cables into outlets, and a simple power strip just never really felt like it was the right solution, because I had to run lights and adapters and all that stuff, and I also wanted something that's portable. So a lot of times I shoot and have almost like a light or something propped to this so I can stop and shoot on the spot, but I always have to like find, you know, an outlet to plug it in, which is where the new DJI Power 1000 comes in. I haven't opened it yet, but this is the DJI Power 1000, and I'm planning to add this to the cart. Most likely on the bottom, because this usually doesn't get used for anything other than loading in and out. So I can pretty much make it almost permanent to have a spot down here. And I want to be able to run the cables up to the cart itself, which is why I also bought this power strip from Amazon that I want to permanently mount it on the inside and then run the cable down into the DJI. So on the top I will have 3 AC and 2 USB and 1 C port. And this one, it also has a quick release mechanism, so it slides apart. I'm gonna try to attach this to the inside of this plate, so when I need it, when I'm putting the cart together, I can click it in and then run the cable and plug it up. If I don't need it, I don't have to, then it's just gonna go into my gaffer cart, the milk crate that's usually on the bottom with all kinds of random stuff that you just need all the time. And this is one of them. And this way I have power, USBs, coming from the DJI, which also acts as a battery backup. So even if the power goes out or if it gets unplugged, everything still stays working, which is, I believe, the perfect solution for what I need. This thing also has 140 watt USB-C ports on the front, so I can power my MacBook with the magnetic charger directly through it, so I don't need to bring the power brick. It's not going to eat up a slot, and it's also not going to do a lot of extra conversions to lose power. So I'm going to open this, test it out, and I'm going to start measuring and figuring out how can I position it to fit on the cart. I just pulled this out of the box, and the size is surprisingly small. I thought it was going to be bigger, but if you just look at the width of this unit, if I put it to the edge, there's definitely enough space on both sides to fit down here, because the legs might be in the way. So I think I should be able to push it all the way up to the bumps and make it live here, with the powers facing the connectors facing to the front, so all the cables can be run and attached with Velcro ties. And this is pretty much what you get. It only came with one standard power cable, which I'm actually not going to use. I'm going to use a different one that I have that has a locking connector so it wouldn't come out of the slot. And then you get your manual for the warranty registration, which does make sense to do because you get 2 years if you do it. And the screen is taped off, and the USB ports are taped off with just this clear plastic. But I'm gonna take that off in a second. So let's turn this on. It will make the same noise that you're probably familiar with from other DJI products, because it makes the same thing as the drones. So let's see. All right, so it arrived with 59% battery, no input or output. So if you're not familiar with the product, this is the charge port. You can charge it in slow mode at 600 watts from an AC outlet, or you can charge it in turbo mode 1200 watts. If you do this, it's going to have to condition the cells, and after doing it 5 times at turbo, it will force you to charge at 600 even if the switch is on the left, to make sure that the batteries are correctly balanced. So if you have time, just keep it on 600. If you're on set and the power is not easily accessible, just keep it on 1200 and just plug it in every chance you get. Because this thing is acting as a UPS also, it does not hurt to just keep it on the whole time, even if you have load on it, because if you have power fluctuations or the power goes out, this will kick in and immediately supply power. So you get 2 AC outlets. You have to separately turn those on with this button right here. So if I hold it, I can get it to go on and the lights will turn green. This way you know that there is AC power being supplied. Now this actually changed here to 30 hours because it is, the inverter is gone even if it's not doing anything. So I'm going to turn that back off. So this is where the USB ports are and the 140 watt USB-C ports. These are not inputs, so only outputs. So you cannot charge it through this. The only way to charge this unit is through here or one of these SD-C ports, which is where the specialty comes in. These ports are identical in look but not in capacity. The top one is a normal one, the bottom one is a light, so this one has a little bit of limitations. If you have DJI drones, you can use these for fast charging those batteries with the correct cable, but that's not why I got it. The reason why I got what I'm going to do with this is twofold. The car charger charges it through this port, so I don't have it yet because it was out of stock, so I had to order it, and it will probably take 2 weeks to get here based on the estimates. But you can charge it through this port from a car, which is good because if I'm driving 3-4 hours for a set, then I can just have this charging on the back seat or like on the floor, and it will be full by the time I get there. And the accessory that comes with the car charger also acts as a solar panel converter. So if you have solar panels that are less than 24 volts, which is most of them, that have the standard MC4 connectors or XT60 connectors, you can hook it up through that adapter that comes with the car charger because it's 2 pieces. And I actually have solar. Before I was experimenting with stuff, I had this solar panel on the top of my car, which I know it's weird, and I made a custom battery that has a controller with inputs and outputs and loads. And I used to use a travel fridge in my car pretty much 24/7 during the summer, and this was enough to keep it running if the car was parked outside all day because it was charging it up. Now I'm not getting any sun in my balcony right now, but it still produces 13 volts at a very low amperage, and so it is charging the battery, which is at 12.4. So I can use this solar panel because it does have the standard MC4 connectors with an adapter to charge this battery. So I could potentially, even when I have it with me, just put the solar panel out on the ground next to the car and then charge it if I have to. I'm going to look into getting some solar panels that are foldable, even maybe the one that DJI sells, but it's a little expensive, so I'm not sure about that. On the standard adapter that comes with the car charger, you can use 100 watt solar panel. That is the limitation. If you buy the adapter, you can have a total of 6 solar panels plugged into. You can mount those here. That's what these screws are for. It comes with these adapter hubs that you can you hook up here and plug it into both, so you can have 3 panels in each charging the unit if you're a super outdoorsy person. I don't think I'm gonna ever need that, but I like the idea that if I have a foldable one that just sits in the car, I can just prop it up next to the car and then run the cables inside. So I'm definitely gonna get that and test it first with my old panel, which is a little bit old, so it's not gonna have the full potential, but at least I can test it and see how it works. And so my integration is going to be putting this on the bottom here facing out, running the cable from that AC module or power strip that I want to attach to this side, because I usually work from that side of the cart. So every time I roll, I always park in a way where I roll it this way and I'm standing on that side of my cart. That's just how I'm used to it. Doesn't really matter, but if I attach the power here, I always have places to plug in small stuff like charging, you know, time code or something. And then my laptop is going to be always plugged into the 140 watt port that sits up here, and I'll just run the cable with some of these Velcro ties that are already here. And then one of these ports are going to be utilized for the power strip, and the other one is going to be for, let's say, running an extension cord, like a 25-foot extension cord or something that would go to one of my lights, or maybe a couple lights, because technically the output of this is 2000 watts. So I could run 2 300Ds and even plug in these tubes, even though those are USB-C. I have adapters for it if I use them as headlights and stuff, and it will still be within limits of the unit to get them powered. And in a situation where I don't have access to power, or if we lose power, we can still keep shooting. Started charging the unit at the 600 watt mode, and I'm actually using a cable that you might be familiar with if you have aperture lights. This is one of the cables that come with like Amaran lights that have the locking connector. So this one is in, and it does not come out unless you release it with this pin. You pull it towards yourself and then you can unplug this thing. And I love these plugs for anything critical, especially on set. I don't want anybody to accidentally unplug it. And the unit currently is totally silent, even though both sides have fans. Like, you can actually see the fan inside right there. These are plastic fins that also act as coolers if you have the solar module attached, because it sits right here with its cooling fins. So this airflow also cools the solar converter. So that's actually a pretty cool solution, and it just pulls air across the unit, because the other side looks exactly the same. Got the car power outlet to SDC power cable finally in the mail. I had to wait a couple days for this so I can continue this video. This serves two purposes for me and I guess everybody else. You can charge the battery in the car from your cigarette plug, or you can use this part of the charger and charge it with a single solar panel up to 100 watts. And that would be, for example, the DJI panel that they sell for $299. That is actually made by a third-party company, but they are basically licensing it. So since I do not have that panel, I'm going to test with my old panel that I used to have on my car. Let's check out what's in the box. Now, I may have opened this on the wrong end, most likely. So let's see if I can pull it through from the other side. Yes. So yeah, you have to open it from the top. Okay, this thing is actually bigger than I thought. I have a test load on the battery because it is at 100%, so I won't be able to actually charge it without you know, using up a little bit of the energy that's inside of it. So let's see. So you get the adapter. This is the adapter that goes from an SDC to an XT60, and that is the male plug. This is an adapter to charge the unit. So you can use either ports. Doesn't matter if it's the light or the normal one. But this being only 100 watts, definitely can just use the light port and be done with it. So, and then you get the cable for car charging. Car charger is pretty standard. It isn't even DJI branded, so I'm sure they are licensing it from someplace, but there's absolutely no branding on this whole thing anywhere. And it's a standard XT60 plug, and that plugs into here. There is an indicator light on this right there, so when you receive power coming in, either 12 or 24 volts, this will light up green, and that means that it receives power and it will convert, because this one actually charges, I believe, at about 50 volts. So there's a converter inside. And this is the cable I bought on Amazon. That is for my solar panel. It is the same XT60, just like what the car output would be. And the other side is the MC4 connectors that you can find on solar panels as a default. This is pretty much the standard plug on all kinds of solar panels. So I haven't actually used this. This is a pretty short cable, and it was less than 10 bucks. And I only bought it so I can test my old solar panel to see if it works with this adapter. So these go to the solar panel connectors, and this will plug into the units. I'm relocating to the outside for this because I want to show you guys. So this is my solar panel. That's a Renogy panel from a couple years ago, and it has these connectors on the panel itself. So they are the same MC4 styles that came on this adapter, and so they are labeled. They're not colored, but they are labeled, so you can see this minus and this plus. So the plus should be compatible with this side, and that is correct. It does have a click when you click it in, so then you know it's locked. So technically this solar panel now is operational, and so if I get the adapter, let's say I'm gonna get this adapter. I know there's not really sun anymore because it's like almost 8 o'clock, but if we plug this in, there should be, yes, you can see there's an indicator light. So even though there is not a lot of sun, and we're in the shade and it's like 8 p.m., the panel still generates enough to wake this up at 12 to 24 volts. Now, what it will translate to in charging, we don't know yet, but let's get to that right now. You can see now we're slowly losing power because I'm powering this 100D. This is an Aperture 100D, and it looks like it's using 120 watts. So we're losing 20 watts on efficiency alone, because this thing is supplying 120 watts out to this power supply for the light, but this is only a 100-watt light, so we're losing a little bit. Now anyway, back to the topic. So the solar panel is still plugged in, and it is still green, so I think that's a good sign. So we're gonna go ahead, plug this up to the SDC light port on this unit, and this already popped up right here. You can see that little tiny icon. It says that there is an input, but it doesn't actually generate anything at the moment. It just shows that we are getting 0.00 volts, which I'm not surprised, because there's simply not enough sun outside. This is my solar testing setup. Everything is wired. This is the closest I can get to a good coverage on my balcony here, because I get sun in the morning and it's about 11 o'clock. So the sun is literally like up here, and it's hitting almost as close to 90 degrees as I can. This is the closest I can get it to, and I'm gonna hook it up to see what happens. So this is the cable I bought on Amazon. This is the cable I bought on Amazon, XT60. The other side is under the panel. It's the MC4, the standard solar panel connector. and I'm gonna plug it into the unit. And as we tested it before, it did work, but it didn't really provide anything because it was pretty late. So let me plug this in and see what happens, because I want to test it. So this is plugged in. I'm waiting for the camera to focus. This is plugged in. The light is on, and the unit immediately woke up. And I know it's kind of hard to see because of reflection, so I'm gonna try to position this to be visible. So look at this. So it is producing 53 volts because this unit is a converter, and currently it's getting 63 watts. So charge rate is at 53%, and it says that at this level it's going to take 8 hours to charge. Now obviously I'm not getting sun for 8 hours. It's probably going to be gone in an hour or maybe 2 at max, and then it's going to go to the other side of the building. So this is going to drop off significantly, but it is still charging at 63 watts, pretty stable. Now that is probably accurate for the angle and the age of my panel, because this is not a new panel at all, and it's also pretty dirty. So I think I'm gonna wipe it off and then see if it increases. But just as a general charger, this would be enough to keep my travel fridge running 24/7 essentially, because the travel fridge uses 35 to 40 watts, and it obviously doesn't run all day. But if this thing charges at 60 watts per hour during the day, it will definitely survive the night and it won't be an issue. So I'm gonna leave this out here for charging. The mounted power strip is also coming along nicely. I had to drill some new holes. As you can see, I had to make them significantly larger because these 1/4-20 screws that I bought on Amazon, they are different sizes. As you can see, they fit into the cheese plate that's part of the cart. So, and I needed countersunk screws. So these have the sizes that will be appropriate for mounting this and not stick out on the outside. So I'm going to be using these, which would be the 1/2 inch total length, 1/4-20, and it came with this little Allen wrench too. So I drilled, well actually 2 holes. These are totally new. I pre-drilled the one that already existed, and I sunk it. I have a bit that can sink screws in to make them properly flat. And I then mounted it to the very first hole right there. And then from the outside, I drilled these other 2 holes just in case I need them. They don't have to be perfect. And so now I have 3 holes that all sink the screw in to be totally flat and not stick out. This one may need to be a little bit more, but when I tighten it in the plastic, it's probably going to sink in just enough that this will slide on, and then I'll be able to slide this on. So let me just put this on real quick, and then we'll see the results. So I actually have to use the shortest screw, which is this tiny one right here. This is, I believe, the 3/8 length, because the 1/2 inch one sticks out a little bit, and I'm not a huge fan of it. These are fine because they are rounded, but this one, I don't want to get stuck on it or get scratched. So this is the one with the correct length. So this is the 3/8, and that's almost borderline perfect. So I'll swap this out too to the short one, and the plate is now perfectly mounted on the back of the cart, and I should be able to put the power strip on relatively easily, and when I break down the cart I can remove it, or potentially just leave it on, because I might be able to even collapse it and not have anything conflicting inside. I have to check because I actually haven't measured or looked what it would look like if I just simply close it down. So I'm going to check these these screws also. Give it a little bit more and a little bit more. Now, 3 of these screws for this is definitely an overkill, but now all I have to do is hopefully get it through, and yep, and it did slide on, and it is pretty secure. So actually, I think this is perfect. And then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna route this cable down the pole, and I wish it would fit through here, but this is too big. So it's just gonna have to come out and then velcroed to the poles when I build the cart. And then I'm gonna go and plug into the DJI Power that's going to live down there. Because now, from the top, I have 3 AC plugs, so I can plug in laptop chargers and whatnot. I can charge in my iPhone over the Type-C and 2 older stuff like Tentacle sinks and stuff. So I think this is just perfect for like your daily needs. Like this is not like a full-on charging station, but I could potentially just have like cameras and stuff charging on lunch breaks and whatnot. So this is, I think, perfect. And I like the fact that it is not hard to remove it, because all I need to do is just push it off. I do feel that it gets stuck in the top of the screws. I'm pretty sure it's like this edge right here and in the middle. So what I'm gonna do is I may do a little bit more grinding on, actually I can just tighten it more to sink them down a little bit. So if I get my tool, I would be able to get it perfectly flat, but a little tightness isn't a problem because it actually keeps it secure. So now this is complete, and I can push and click it in. I'm sorry about the rattle. These screws are making a lot of noise, and I didn't really think about that when I was recording, so that's totally my bad. But the power strip is done. I'm probably gonna remove this sticker because I already hate how it looks. I'll officially claim my solution complete. I did have to switch the orientation of the plastic so installation doesn't go from this side but from this side, because if you run the cable and as I attached it with Velcro in multiple spots, you obviously don't have slack. So moving it away did not work. But moving it the other way, and it is tight, so you have to give it a little bit of a knock to get it off. And this way you can actually push it all the way and flip it over. So when you collapse the cart, it's literally just hanging like this. So when you fold this down, it will fold with it, because you have to lift off obviously the top. So it definitely won't work with this left on, because I forgot that I have to lift off the top. So now that it actually is functional and it's up, all you got to do is you slide it on. As you can see, that's where the rails are. You slide it on and then you wiggle it in, and it does probably require a little bit of 2 hands because it is still kind of tight, but it does work, and I can all the way click it in and it will stay secure. I'm probably still gonna take it off and drill a little bit more on the plastic piece so it stays on. And now I have power on the top of the cart, and it is small, it's neat, and it provides everything I need on set.